James Larry Cosby was found guilty of capital murder Wednesday in the slaying of his daughter and her girlfriend. Britney Cosby and Crystal Jackson, both 24, were found dead near a dumpster outside Fisherman's Cove Food Mart in Port Bolivar on March 7, 2014. Investigators did not determine a motive for the gruesome killing of the couple, who lived in a Houston home with Jackson's young daughter, James Cosby, and his grandmother. Nor did they produce a murder weapon. However, Assistant District Attorney Bill Reed, who is the felony division chief, asked jurors to use common sense in their deliberations. Cosby was struck 5 times with a sharp-edged object, causing her skull to fracture and split. Her throat showed signs of choking, according to the Galveston County Medical Examiner's Office. Jackson was also choked and died instantly from a gunshot wound delivered at very close range, according to the Medical Examiner's Office. Galveston County Sheriff's Office investigators found Britney Cosby's blood on the carpet in her father's bedroom and a silver Kia Sorento, an SUV the women had bought days before their deaths. Investigators also found a bullet fragment in the vehicle. During the trial, an FBI cell phone analyst testified to tracking James Cosby's phone from Houston to the Bolivar Peninsula and back to the Ritz, a strip club where the women's vehicle was found about a month after their death. Surveillance video on the Galveston Bolivar ferry showed a silver SUV crossing the night before the women were found, and 2 witnesses testified to seeing an African-American man driving the vehicle, although neither could pick Cosby from a lineup with more than 50% certainty. Cosby's girlfriend, Kimberly Pierce, testified to picking him up from a Whataburger restaurant near the strip club the night before the women's bodies were found. Shortly after, Cosby used his cell phone to call Houston police to report Pierce's ex-boyfriend was trying to run them off a road, she said. Cosby identified himself on a recorded call to a police dispatcher. Authorities found the SUV about a month later, in April 2014, when the owner of the strip club had it towed to a Houston lot. Cosby maintained his innocence throughout the investigation. In closing arguments, Cosby's defense attorneys said the case presented too much doubt to convict their client of capital murder. There are 6 different puzzles they're trying to push together in this case, Attorney Kyle Very said. Prosecutors did not present evidence to show where Jackson was killed, and Cosby voluntarily spoke with investigators for almost 6 hours, but never admitted to the crime, Very said. Me, my wife, and my church family are praying for life without possibility of parole, said Reverend Ivan Jackson, father of slain Crystal Jackson, because killing him is not going to bring either one of them back. The Galveston County Medical Examiner's Office determined that Britney Cosby died as a result of blunt force trauma, while Jackson died from a gunshot wound. Galveston County Sheriff Henry Trecheset said in 2014 that blood and other evidence were found in James Larry Cosby's home in Houston. In an exclusive interview with Fox 26 outside the courthouse Wednesday afternoon, Reverend Jackson said he has found some peace already, explaining, "There's one verse in the Bible that helped me forgive this man, and it says absent from the body, present with the Lord, and I know my daughter and Britney are present with God." James Cosby was convicted in 1994 in the sexual assault of a 22-year-old woman, according to court records. Britney Cosby and Crystal Jackson were both buried Houston Memorial Gardens in Pearland. Crystal Jackson was a mother, and her father says he has obtained full custody of his granddaughter. Reverend Jackson said, "It's been really tough, but on the same token, it has made me much stronger because I have a responsibility now, and that's to raise my grandbaby. There is no evidence of a murder weapon, nor that the women were killed in the same criminal transaction, a requirement to convict a defendant of capital murder," Attorney Greg Russell said. "There's zero evidence of a capital murder here," Russell said. Zero. Assistant District Attorney Paul Love told the jurors they would not be able to determine why Cosby murdered his daughter and her girlfriend, but said he boxed himself into a corner during the investigation. "The tragedy may have ended in Bolivar, but the justice starts today," Love said. After several hours of deliberating, the jury returned the guilty verdict. Cosby will be sentenced to life in prison without parole. A formal sentencing in which family members will be allowed the opportunity to give victim statements to Cosby is scheduled for 9 a.m. in the 212th State District Court. A July 2021 on details the tragic deaths of 24-year-old Britney Cosby and her girlfriend, Crystal Jackson, in March 2014 in Port Bolivar, Texas. The women's bodies were found near a dumpster not far from Britney Cosby's home, and her father, James Cosby, was arrested for the murders. Now people are curious about where Britney Cosby's father is and what happened after his arrest. When he was taken into police custody, he was charged as a possible suspect who might have worked with someone else to carry out the crimes, and some of the details were a little hazy. Years after the murders and arrests, James Cosby's trial has come and gone. Here's what we know about his life today. So, where is Britney Cosby's father now? At the time of his 2014 arrest, authorities believed that James Cosby bludgeoned his daughter to death before shooting Crystal Jackson and disposing of their bodies. His bedroom was found to have drops of blood as well as a copy of the Quran open to a passage about homosexuality being a sin. His daughter's sexual orientation was, according to family members who spoke about the case afterward, a point of contention between James and Britney Cosby. In August 2016, James Cosby was found guilty of capital murder in the deaths of both Jackson and Britney Cosby. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. James Cosby's exact motives are still unconfirmed and unknown, but many believe he committed the crimes out of prejudice against his daughter and her sexuality. In December 2017, he attempted to appeal the ruling but was denied. At the time of James Cosby's arrest, Britney Cosby's mother, Loranda McDonald, told KHOU-TV, per Daily News, that her ex had never supported the fact that their daughter was a lesbian, further driving home the theory that James Cosby had murdered Britney Cosby and her girlfriend because of the nature of their relationship. "I think they should lock him up. Don't let him out," McDonald told the news outlet at the time. "Give him the chair. I want him to suffer." In the past, has shed light on the case involving the death of Kenneka Jenkins, whose body was found locked in a freezer after a night out with friends. It has also explored the mystery of Jerrica Binks, whose disappearance left investigators stumped. There are times, however, when the episodes give closure to viewers rather than end with a mystery unsolved. The point of the series is to give attention to cases about young people specifically and help some questions get answers while giving the victims' families a little more clarity. And even if the show doesn't outright solve cases, it sometimes comes close. Funeral services were held Saturday for 2 women found dead behind a Bolivar convenience store. Separate services were held for Britney Cosby, 24, and Crystal Jackson, 24. Crystal Jackson's father, a pastor, spoke during his daughter's funeral services at New Peaceful Rest Baptist Church. Reverend Ivan Jackson said Crystal Jackson was and always will be his little girl. "When I had that heart attack, my baby was there for me from day one. She stayed at the hospital until the day they released me. So I knew my daughter loved me, and I loved her. She knew I loved her," said Ivan Jackson. At the same time as Crystal Jackson's funeral, another crowd gathered at Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church to honor Britney Cosby, who was Crystal Jackson's girlfriend. The couple's bodies were found last week near a dumpster behind a Bolivar store. Just days ago, Britney Cosby's father, James Larry Cosby, 46, was charged in connection to their deaths. He is accused of tampering with evidence. Galveston County Sheriff's investigators said the investigation is ongoing, and the charges against him could be upgraded to capital murder.